With peace restored, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 comes to an end.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok, and flat out deceived.
The biggest lie in Xenoverse 2 history, and potentially one of the biggest lies in gaming history, took place in DLC 10 over 3 years ago at this point in time. And most of you guys know what I'm talking about right when I mentioned the biggest lie in Xenoverse 2 history and DLC 10 in the same breath. Because in DLC 10, at the end of it, once you do the little story thing involving Majub, after you fight Goku and him at once actually defeat them, you get this little cutscene at the end where they talk about growing stronger together and all this nice stuff, right? But then at the very end, the final thing you see on the screen is that it'll say something along the lines of Xenoverse 2 coming to an end. That made a lot of us think, damn, is Xenoverse 2 actually over? Is this finally the last DLC for this game? Are we headed for a Xenoverse 3 anytime soon? A lot of speculation was going on during that time. The only thing that really countered that speculation was the message box that you got after you talked to the Supreme Kai of Time the very first time you beat said story mission involving Goku and Majub. Now, after you do beat it and talk to the Supreme Kai of Time, this will pop up once you're done with her. It'll say, "Thank you for playing Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. You've witnessed one of only many scenes to come, as there are more still events and other content waiting to be enjoyed. Until then, continue playing Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. Okay, so let's break this message down in multiple parts. First, the events and other content part, and then the more scenes to come part as well, because both of those hold some kind of significance and hint, at the very least, that we may see more content on this game. Now, the events and other content part could have been referring to just raids and tournaments and Frieza Siege and all things along those lines, because those are events and they do offer forms of other content like clothing, super souls, artworks, all things along those lines. So that's what that part could have been referring to. And then you think of the scenes to come, the more scenes to come part. Well, in the next update that we actually got for this game, which was not a DLC in Bandai and Dimps' mind, we just call it DLC 11 with the Supreme Kai of Time update. But again, Dimps and Bandai do not consider that to be an official DLC pack. That's why they will sometimes refer to like DLC 15 as DLC 14. Their count is actually one behind ours, and that is all due to the free update with the Supreme Kai of Time, because initially they made it seem like they were going to call that DLC 11, and that just ended up not being the case. So again, Bandai and Dimps only consider that to be a true free update, not an actual DLC pack. But in that free update, we did get some more scenes involving the Supreme Kai of Time. So maybe they were already hinting at that from this point right here, hinting at that we were going to get some kind of celebration for the Supreme Kai of Time and really for 5 million sales on Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. This does not in any way, shape, or form guarantee that more DLC would have been coming to the game. And that was also a major speculation back at that time. Would we actually be seeing more DLC on Xenoverse 2 due to this message right here? And honestly, guys, I do not think that was supposed to happen. Because if you really look at the timeline and the gap between DLC 10 and DLC 12, which is considered to be the next true DLC pack. So the gap between 10 and 12 is a year and like 5 or 6 months or something like that. Actually, a year and 4 months, I believe, because this DLC released at the beginning of December. DLC 10 released towards the beginning of December of 2019, while DLC 12 did not release until mid to late March of 2021. So about a year and 3 to 4 months is how long it took between two DLC packs on this game. That has never happened before. Never in the history of Xenoverse 2 have we had to wait that long for another DLC pack on this game, which again kind of hints to me and shows to me that they may have truly meant for DLC 10 to be it. But what happened after DLC 10 as to why potentially this did not end up being that final DLC? Well, first and foremost, COVID did hit. Now, with COVID hitting, we don't know all the ins and outs of it, what it potentially could have stopped or prevented from happening at said point in time back then. We don't know any of that, but we do know it was made known by a lot of companies that a lot of production, especially in the gaming industry, had slowed down majorly because they did not have nearly as many people working on projects. There were not as many people that were able to work on projects because, well, social distancing at that time, and just all the mystery and speculation around COVID, we really did not know much about it. So again, not a lot of gaming companies and industries were really working the way they were and putting stuff into these games the way they were before COVID actually dropped. Also, it could have affected the anime and manga industry at the same time, which means it potentially could have pushed back the Dragon Ball Super anime, which we have been waiting for years now. At this point in time, it could have pushed that return back that much longer, guys. And what have I always said about Xenoverse 3? I truly think Xenoverse 3 is waiting for the Dragon Ball Super anime before they actually drop that game, or at least waiting for it to be announced. Because think about the hype and the absolute just profits that they would make off of a Xenoverse 3 dropping when the Super anime does come back. I mean, it's a major reason that I feel in the early stages of Xenoverse 2, it had such good numbers for that first year. Now, stuff past that obviously was just due to Xenoverse 2 being a great game and having longevity and all things like that. But in that first year, in the first initial sales for Xenoverse 2, I do feel were helped by not only Dragon Ball Super, but in particularly the Goku Black arc. Because when Xenoverse 2 dropped, the Goku Black arc was going on. And when Xenoverse 2 was announced, Dragon Ball Super had become a thing. I don't know exactly where we were in terms of arc, whether it was the Resurrection of F arc or if we were in the Universal Tournament arc when that game was announced, but it was somewhere around there in terms of the anime, which helped build hype towards this new game, which was Xenoverse 2. And then of course, when you pre-ordered Xenoverse 2, you got Goku Black as a playable character, which did help the pre-orders and overall sales of the game in the initial stages, without a doubt, because there were just so many people hyped about the anime, and then they seen Xenoverse 2, seen that Xenoverse 2 is going to have characters from the anime like a Goku Black in it. So that really did help the sales of the game without a doubt, and I do think that they're trying to do something similar with Xenoverse 3 at the same time. So even though it has turned out to be the biggest lie in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 history, I don't think it was actually meant to be a lie in the very beginning and when they first actually put this in the game with DLC 10. But let me know what you guys think about this down below in the comments. Do you guys think that this was actually meant to be the final DLC on this game and not including the free update of the Supreme Kai of Time? Because again, they don't consider that to be a DLC in any way, shape, or form. And most likely, based off of the dialogue box that you do get after talking to the Supreme Kai of Time, it does seem like they did at least have another update plan. And that was most likely the Celebration update where we got the Supreme Kai of Time for free. So again, let me know your thoughts on all this down below in the comments. What side of the fence do you land on? Are you someone that feels that this was just a straight bold-faced lie that they told us in DLC 10 and always had more plans of future DLC on this game? Or are you someone that after watching the video feels like, damn, maybe this was actually supposed to be the last DLC for Xenoverse 2? Because again, no DLC has ever had a gap that long in between them. They literally said that this was supposed to be the end of Xenoverse 2, and then also COVID did hit, which could have delayed a lot of things in terms of plans for the anime and potentially a Xenoverse 3 at the same time. So let me know your thoughts and where you land with that down below in the comments. But as always, man, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Until next time, hope you guys have a good one. Peace, y'all.